Africa is currently facing 3 pandemics, you might say. We've got gender-based violence, we've got a COVID-19 pandemic, and corruption. A Unite from Mzansi's case study shows that the country has lost over, listen to this, 1.5 trillion rand between 2014 and 2019. And that was before the PPE corruption that Desmond Tata and his guests were talking about just now. So where's the accountability for all of this? Let's engage with the Director of Accountability now, Advocate Paul Hoffman. Advocate, good afternoon. Thank you very much for your time talking to us here on the Midday View on this focus. I mean, we talk about corruption. We see some cases coming through. The SIU is investigating, but the accountability is still not at the levels that it should be.
Now, you're quite right, Dan, and thank you for the opportunity. Good afternoon to your viewers. I think the difficulty that we have at the moment is that the political will in government to address the work involved in raking back the loot of state capture, which, as you say, is in excess of R1 trillion. Now, remember, 1 trillion has got 18 zeros to the left-hand side of the decimal point. So there's a lot that could be done with that money if only the will and the skill could be put together to do the necessary. Now, the good news is that a year ago, the National Executive Committee of the ANC passed a resolution in which it called upon our national cabinet urgently to establish a standalone, permanent, specialist anti-corruption body that is independent and able to deal with corruption. It has the skill, the capacity, the personnel, the equipment to do that. Now, that idea is in the works and it needs to be accelerated. And I suspect that the way that politics are unfolding at the moment, the acceleration will come because so many people in South Africa will make it clear that we cannot carry on like we are, because we get the looters are going to steal us blind. It's not just a question of the poor not getting the service delivery that they're entitled to expect from our constitutional setup. It's going to be worse than that, simply because the scale of the theft, the PPE, as you suggested in the intro, is really totally amoral. You're virtually committing murder when you steal the money that should be used to protect frontline workers against the pandemic.
Now, that kind of a body...
At the moment...
Yeah, sorry, Advocate Hoffman, just to come in there, that kind of a body that you said has been approved and we're still waiting for it to set up, we could be looking forward to. But currently we're also seeing some kind of consequences, unless I am too naive, when we see the SIU saying we've arrested so many, we have frozen so many millions in those bank accounts. And for example, we have the former health minister now, Dr. Zweli Mkhize, who has resigned because of that digital vibes. So there are some signs, at least, of some light at the end of the tunnel, but we need more accountability.
Yes. Dan, what you need to understand is that the SIU does not arrest anybody. The SIU has no criminal capacity at all. It is there to do the bidding of the president in respect of any particular task that the president thinks will need the attention of the SIU. So, for example, in 2009, the SIU said the leadership of Bosasa needs to be prosecuted for the tender fraud that is going on in correctional services. Well, as you know, it was only after the Zondo Commission had the evidence of Mr. Agrizi that anything was done to follow through on the good work that the SIU had done more than 10 years ago. This new body is the subject of a pair of draft bills that Accountability Now has presented to Cabinet and to the Constitutional Review Committee of Parliament with a view to doing what the NEC asked for a year ago, which is to create this super corruption buster body, which we call the Chapter 9 Integrity Commission, but the politicians can give it any name they like, as long as it has constitutional compliance and the ability to effectively and efficiently deal with the corrupt. Because until they are behind bars and the money is recovered from them, we are going to limp along as a country, suffering from gender-based violence because men don't have jobs and hate themselves, from joblessness because nobody wants to invest in our economy for fear of losing the money to looters, and this ever-increasing inequality and poverty because of the lack of economic activity that would address those problems.
Thank you very much, Advocate Paul Hoffman. He's from Accountability Now for some of his insights there. Well, the sooner that body that he was referring to, that more than a year ago or so, the ANC's National Executive Committee resolved that government must set up, the sooner it is set up, I guess, the more hope we will have as citizens of this country that the days of corruption will be numbered. More